like I was watching a clip of Nick Wright on First Things First, and he's talking about, well, the only reason he signed there is nobody wants to compete. Here's what you have to do, okay? Start to actually take a breath and think. Go through the playoff teams in the West, and you tell me which of the playoff teams in the West needed Boogie Cousins. Go ahead, knock yourself out. Like, if you just go through the West, all right, the Houston Rockets may need a big guy. You know what they don't want? They don't want Boogie Cousins. He does not fit the profile of what they want. Right? They want either a stretch big, which they already have with Ryan Anderson, who they're trying to get rid of, or they want somebody a Clint Capella type, who can switch and rotate and be super athletic. That's not what he is. Correct? Right.
Oh, absolutely. You're right.
Okay. So and while Boogie Cousins can shoot threes now, and he'll stop the ball when he's out in the perimeter and he shoots too many threes, and he can score in the post. Mike D'Antoni doesn't want somebody to score in the post. He don't want anybody down there to throw the ball to. So moving on. Next playoff team, right? Oklahoma City, they have Steven Adams. Don't need him. Don't want him. Keep going. Like Utah, didn't they just re-sign Derek Favors? Right? Who's younger, more athletic, not as skilled, but they already have him. They don't need him. The Minnesota Timberwolves, don't they have Karl Anthony Towns? Don't need him. Don't want him. Like, go through all these teams and you tell me, who the team is that needs him. Nurkic is with Portland. Like, don't need him. Don't want him. We don't. It was a need. All the timing and stuff fit. And the fact is, their culture in Oakland, now going to be San Francisco, already established. Don't need him.
Why wouldn't you though do this? And this is my point a few minutes ago. If you're the Knicks, if you're the Clippers, if you're a team that is high profile enough, not really playing for this year, playing for next year, you sign him to 1 year, get 1 year and $8 million. Let's just say he's not going to play for a while. He's going to come back probably sometime after the All-Star break. As we've seen, as we just watched with Oklahoma City and Paul George, we get a guy, we gamble, and now we have a guy for 4 years. He came here, he loved it, and we put a big push on him in free agency, and now he wants to re-sign. Boogie Cousins could have gone to the Clippers and said a little bit, okay, we're starting over, but hey, you know what? I like it here in LA.
Wait, this is
kind of nice.
Didn't they just get a big guy? I'm trying to think. DeAndre Jordan gone, but there's somebody else that they just traded. They just traded for a big guy. So they don't need one.
Well, they have Marcin Gortat, but I don't know that they.
Yeah, they have Marcin Gortat. Why do you need him?
But okay,
why do you need another big guy?
I'd rather have Boogie Cousins than Marcin. But
you already have Marcin Gortat.
You're right, but you can tell. Okay, Marcin, you're going to play for a while because you need somebody to play for a while. You need somebody to play until the end of February, and then Boogie Cousins shows up.
That doesn't make any sense. Again, that doesn't make any sense.
He can play less.
It doesn't make any.
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense. Like the whole thing is.
But you're not playing for this year.
So why would you sign a guy that you're not going to play for this year?
You are playing to have Boogie Cousins show up, love it, and then when it comes time for free agency, hey, you can give him more money. And you know what? I really like it here in LA. The Lakers are going to go after Kawhi. There's no room for me, but I like playing here, and I like Steve Ballmer. I like everything about the Clippers. I want to re-sign here. Why can't you take that? Why isn't that gamble worth it for $6 or $8 million for 1 year? If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And he's gone.
They use that money to get Avery Bradley, who has way more value when you want to make it. If you want to make a trade, that's why. You don't get another center. Like Washington just said, Washington had Marcin Gortat, and they said, here, please take him. Austin Rivers? Sure, we'll take Austin Rivers. They don't want him. People don't want an NBA center. And Boogie Cousins has a terrible reputation that is well earned. And he's not healthy until February. Like, so what part of the Clippers aren't a playoff team? So the playoffs start in April. So you're going to rent Boogie Cousins for March, for the end of February and March and a little bit of April, so that you hope that he can sign as a free agent, that you might not want him anyway, when you could do the same thing next year when he's a free agent coming out of Golden State.
But then next year,
you already have a center. You already have Marcin Gortat.
Next year could be a lot more money. Next year be a lot more money, because now if you have Boogie Cousins coming off a year, but he doesn't get. He was going to get more money. I mean, come on. I mean, you thought he was going to get more money than 1 year, $5.3 million.
I honestly thought that's about right. Dude, he's coming off of a torn Achilles tendon.
I get it.
And his team was better without him.
Right.
And he got run out of Sacramento because he ran out every coach in Sacramento. Like, what are we really talking about?
But
he was the worst.
Right.
He was the worst. He was the least liked star player in the NBA, and his team got better when he got hurt, and he's coming off a debilitating injury, and he can't play till mid-year, and he's going to be a free agent. So if he proves it in Golden State, he can still come to LA and play for the Clippers. But the Clippers have a center. It's Marcin Gortat. You said they're not playing for anything. How does that change? Why would you want Boogie Cousins for a month and a half?
If he comes in, he's worth the gamble when you don't have anything. You don't have anything. All right, Avery Bradley's nice, but Boogie Cousins is a guy who could come in and, boy, maybe in this atmosphere, maybe here, he can really thrive.
What atmosphere, though? They don't have a culture. That's why he works in Golden State, because they already have a culture to which he can't challenge Steph. He can't challenge Clay. He can't challenge Durant. He can't even challenge Draymond Green or the coaching staff or the front office. Like, you have to have those protections in place.
Right, but if it doesn't work, you can easily say, okay, we tried, it didn't work, and we're moving on next year. Why would you not do that? It's worth
with who? With the Clippers?
It's worth
the big question is
a gamble to say, hey, we'll try. If this works, boy, if we hit it, we really get lucky.
Look, the people who are critical today are critical of why didn't the Lakers? And the reason the Lakers didn't is pretty obvious, right? You got Lance, you got Rondo. Are you kidding? You're going to go there? You're going to go and get Boogie?
That's a lot of crazy.
Hey,
it's a lot of crazy.
Correct. One, you're all right. Two, sometimes they couple. Three, you got a gang. Okay? Three, you got a gang. That's what you have. And when you have Luke Walton, who's the only guy on that coaching staff that was not hired by Rob Pelinka and not hired by Magic Johnson. He was hired by Jeannie. Right? And so when you have that, the last thing you want is what happens if I don't play Boogie Cousins? Right? What happens if he doesn't do what I want and we get confrontational? You can't have Lance in his ear. If you have Lance being controlled by LeBron, and you have Rondo, like, again, two guys, you're okay. You start to put a group of, I actually understand what the Lakers are doing, right? The Lakers are trying to get guys that are hyper competitive on 1-year deals and that can guard multiple positions. They got some vets. Like, I understand that. Had they gone and gotten Boogie Cousins, it would have, you have a much greater chance of it spiraling towards disaster. And then, of course, remember, when you're coming off an injury like this, okay? You're coming off an injury like a torn Achilles tendon. The Lakers are they're a little bit scorned from the last time they had a star player coming off an Achilles tendon, right? Like, Kobe was just not the same, and he was Kobe Bryant. Granted, much longer in the tooth than Boogie is, but still, in a Laker fan's mind, like, dude, I remember Kobe was the greatest, then he tears his Achilles tendon, and now he can't get a step on anybody. So that's in your mind if you're the Lakers. But I think the biggest question is, like, the Lakers still haven't yet established a culture. And when you bring in a guy who's been bad for everybody else's culture before, you run a much greater risk of it imploding before it ever gets good. Golden State is the one place to which they needed a center. Remember, they had Jaja Pachulia. They had JaVale McGee, and they can play without a big guy. But they also have a pre-established culture, and so they can take a chance when so many other teams cannot.
See, I'm more of a maverick. I'm more of a maverick that I can throw something out there if I have nothing to lose. And there's enough teams in the NBA that don't have anything to lose, or they could have said, you know what, let's try this. Let's try this flyer for a year. And like I said,
the team.
Maybe I just gave you two. I said the Knicks could do it. The Clippers could do it.
You're doing the Knicks thing. Like, why do the Knicks? Why would the Knicks?
Because
all they want.
These are teams in a big city that are absolutely desperate for any kind of relevancy, where star players don't walk through the door, and you need to try to get star players.
But listen, the Knicks are setting themselves up to be free agent players next year. That's what they've said. That's what they established. Porzingis is not going to be back until mid-year. The last thing they want Kristaps Porzingis to do is to come back and have Boogie Cousins on that team.
Yeah, but
that's what they don't want.
But
don't you understand? He's bad for your team. No, you don't. That's what the Knicks have done. Let's just be relevant. The Knicks sell out anyway. That's the problem with the Knicks. They sell out regardless of what they throw out there. They have Porzingis, okay? They have some other good young pieces. They got all these different Europeans, and they want to be players for 2 free agents, and they're going to have free agent cap space. They don't need a guy who comes in February and might make the whole thing implode. They want everybody to be happy, hunky-dory, so we can re-sign Porzingis and have 2 stars with him. You don't need a Boogie Cousins to be relevant.
But here's the thing, Doug, is I can say I'm going to be a big player in free agency. Whether I get somebody or not, that might not happen. The Knicks can say, yeah, we're going to be. The Knicks have tried to be big players before, and nobody's come.
That's not true. Nobody's come. They made bad choices.
They made a bad choice with Melo.
They made a bad choice with Amari Stoudemire. They made a bad choice with Penny Hardaway. They made bad choices. That's all. They made bad choices and bad draft picks. It's not that no one has wanted to come. LeBron wanted to come there. They just couldn't put a team in place. They've had so much change in management. Like the bad choice was not even re-signing Melo. It was giving him a no trade clause. That was the bad choice. They had no choice but to re-sign Carmelo Anthony. The bad choice was trading for Carmelo Anthony when you had a good young team instead of waiting for free agency and then getting Carmelo Anthony. That's what the Lakers are doing with Kawhi Leonard. The history is repeating itself. Okay, the Knicks had a good young roster and they were doing great. And Carmelo wanted to come. And the CBA was going to expire. And Carmelo was like, dude, I might get pinched for money. You better trade for me now, or maybe I'll go to Brooklyn. And the Knicks weren't willing to roll the dice, even though Carmelo told everybody he wanted to be a Knick. And so they traded away their entire roster and got Carmelo Anthony, who doesn't play defense, who's a bad culture guy. They weren't able to surround him with the right players. And the only time, and they were actually decent when they went ISO Joe offense. Other than that, they got rid of all of their other pieces. So the Knicks are now doing what they did previously, what they did before they traded for Carmelo, and essentially what the Lakers have done. Let's go young. Let's get a diverse group of guys that have a good spirit, that play together, and we'll wait for just the right guy who wants to be in New York and to build around him. And if you choose poorly, you're stuck. You're screwed. You got a 4-year deal, a 5-year deal.
Yeah, but if you sign Boogie Cousins and it doesn't work, he's gone. He's gone next summer.
It doesn't. The damage that is done when you have Kristaps Porzingis, who's hanging on by a thread. You've told him again, like, dude, we're gonna get some guys around you. It's gonna be better. It's gonna be better. It's gonna be better. And he's like, all right, show it to me. The possible damage done when you're on a bad team and Boogie comes in and doesn't play defense and doesn't share the ball and doesn't want to listen to the coaching staff. When you have David, like, look, I'm sure David Fizdale's like, no thanks. Like, he's not a dummy. He was in Miami. He was in Memphis. He knows what it's like to coach bad teams, bad chemistry, and good teams, good chemistry. I'm sure he just sat there and goes like, no thanks, I'm good.
But if he's building a culture, that could work. Like I'm saying, it's not like you got to sign Boogie Cousins and give him the max for 7 years. If you're building a culture, you're confident what you have going on, and the Knicks are very confident in Fizdale building a culture there, and what he was taking young players to playoff games. Everybody's buying into what he's doing. I think that's absolutely worth a risk for a year, and if it doesn't, then you just move on.
Again, what's the difference? Then you let somebody else fix Boogie Cousins. You let the Golden State Warriors fix Boogie Cousins. Meanwhile, you just continue to develop your roster.
But then if you let somebody else fix him, he becomes more attractive to somebody else.
Okay.
And there's a bigger bidding war, and you can't give him more money than everybody else can.
Okay. Actually, you can, because only Golden State would be able to give him more money than somebody else. And remember, the max is based upon what your last salary was, or if you have 10 years in the league. So you're working out of the same position as everybody else. We'll just wait and see. Let Golden State figure out if they can fix him, and then we'll play that game next year. I understand your default is to the Knicks and the relevance of it. Like, the Knicks have done a really good job of being smart. You got to be really bad to be really good. Okay? Well, you want to call it tanking, whatever. You got to be bad to be good. And for years, your Knicks, your Mets, other
Mets have no part in this.
Other major market teams. Well, this is going back before
the Jets have Sam Darnold.
Before Sandy Alderson got there. And the idea was like, hey, we just got to get some names to get people in the stands. We just got to get no. What gets people in the stands is when you have a really good team and a really good culture and you win games. And so you can't do that in the middle. That's why everybody in the NBA has figured out, like, we can't make the playoffs. Screw it. Let's tank. That's what Dallas did. That's what Memphis did. And that's what all these other teams at the bottom have done, which is tank. But you also have to build around your culture. And he has been a culture killer. And the greatest example is, look at how much better New Orleans was when they lost their all-star center. They were a better team. And so I think it'll work in Golden State, because he's going into somebody else's culture, because he's on a prove-it deal, and if he's a pain in the ass, they just won't play him, and he'll sit over there, or they won't even dress him. Right? That's what teams do nowadays. But it's one of the 2 or 3 spots to which the culture is already established. The general manager, the head coach just got an extension. They've won 3 titles in 4 years, to which he can't screw it up, and if he does, they can get rid of him. There are very few teams like that in the NBA.